Sunlight fell on my ring, warm like a newborn. I once thought only darkness remained in my life, yet here I was today. My wounds had scarred, and someone held me safe in their palm. Marcus, Scarlet. They had faded into distant dust. In my dreams, my child whispered, "Mommy, be happy." It wasn't a farewell, but an invitation for me to embrace this precious, rediscovered life. With a click, the lights of the dark laboratory flickered on. My tightly closed eyes trembled slightly, whether from overwhelming emotion or prolonged confinement in darkness. A few tears escaped. 5 years later, I saw light again. Tattered rags barely covered parts of my body. Even after a shower, the stench of embalming fluid from being submerged in formaldehyde for so long clung to me. Long-term confinement here had caused my muscles to wither and atrophy. I could only brace myself against the ground, clumsily crawling out of the laboratory on all fours. Outside the laboratory, the moment Scarlet saw me, she instinctively frowned and covered her nose, recoiling a few steps with a tisk of disgust. Marcus, standing beside her, thought the low temperature at the lab entrance was chilling Scarlet. He immediately took off his jacket, draped it over her, and pulled her into his arms. "Grace, have you forgotten how to bathe? I sent you to this laboratory to refine your character, not to turn into a beast. Don't debase yourself and offend my sight. Go clean yourself up quickly. What a disgrace you look. It's disgusting." I instinctively flinched, unable to stand, like a puddle of slime. I repeatedly waved my hands, begging for mercy. "Don't prick me. Don't prick me. I'll work myself to the bone. Anything." Marcus looked annoyed, kicked me away, then disgustedly scuffed the sole of his shoe. "Do you think playing insane will make up for your mistakes? Make up for what you did to Scarlet? Back then, you used the excuse of a business trip to sell Scarlet's child. How vicious you are." Fortunately, Scarlet was fortunate enough to discover it in time and rescue the child. Otherwise, I would have thrown you in there, to let you taste what it's like to never see the light of day again. The moment I heard the words "never see the light of day," I began to cry and laugh, rolling on the ground like a madwoman. For 5 years, I had not seen a single shred of light. Except for my head, my entire body was immersed in a pool of formaldehyde. My bones were so fragile they could be crushed into powder with a single snap. The dual torment, both mental and physical, made me howl and beg for mercy like an animal every night. My body contained an overdose of labor-inducing drugs, which turned my 3-month-old fetus into a deformed being. They turned my child into a monster that could only cry out. The more heart-wrenching the child's cries, the more excited and delighted those people became. They took scalpels and brutally murdered the newborn child, then displayed it on a laboratory table. Thinking of these things, I screamed hysterically, frantically tearing at my hair. Chunks of my scalp ripped off, and gushing blood continuously flowed from my hair. Why torture me like this? You evil people, why couldn't you spare my child?" With a loud slap, Scarlet struck me to the ground. She put all her strength into it, clenching her teeth tightly, her eyes full of malice. I immediately felt dizzy and disoriented, taking a long time to recover. After hitting me, Scarlet feigned fear and cowered into Marcus's arms, tears welling up as she covered her mouth, sobbing, "Grace, I didn't mean to. I just wanted you to snap out of it. You're scaring me a little." Before I could speak, Marcus, looking down on me, pointed at my nose and cursed. Grace, playing insane is one thing, but scaring Scarlet? I see you haven't recognized what you did wrong at all. I have no expectations for someone like you, but you must hand over the child. You must voluntarily donate the child's corneas to Scarlet. It's what you should do. If you obey and properly compensate Scarlet, I can choose not to divorce you and reluctantly continue to be with you. My tears had dried. I was nearly crying tears of blood, and I crawled on all fours to Marcus's feet, wanting to answer between sobs, The child." Before I could finish a complete sentence, Scarlet gasped in surprise as if she'd seen something. "Grace, why are your thighs so bruised? I saw only men in the lab. Grace, are you really so dependent on men that you were hooking up behind Marcus's back?" I cried miserably. All those bruises were marks left by their abuse and beatings. They even cut open my body for data research in the laboratory. I was merely a tool for their sadistic desires. The prolonged torment trapped me in hell. Grievance, fear, resentment, rage. All these emotions made me collapse into a wail, crying loudly, I didn't. Marcus ignored my cries, abruptly lifted my white dress. Exposing the bruises on my body to his eyes, he believed every word Scarlet said. My neck was gripped tightly, and the desperate sensation of choking made me instinctively beat his arm, begging for mercy. I was wrong. Please let me go. Grace, how shameless can you be? Even after being locked in the lab, you're still thinking about seducing men. You were born a lowlife. Scarlett nearby scoffed. I clearly saw the triumphant glint in her eyes. Seeing that I was truly about to pass out from being choked, she stepped forward, playing the innocent, kind maiden, gently rubbing Marcus's arm. Marcus, I believe Grace didn't mean it. She must know she was wrong and won't betray you again. Marcus took a deep breath and shoved me aside with eyes full of disdain. Grace, I sent you to the lab to learn more medical knowledge and temper your character. As a doctor, this is of immense help to you. But not only are you ungrateful, you've also gone behind my back and done these disgraceful acts. He waved his hand and took a deep drag of his cigarette. Forget it. I'm too bothered to argue with you. If you do as I say and save Scarlett's child, I'll pretend nothing happened. Grace, don't be ungrateful. I cried silently, my nails digging deep into my flesh. The dual torment, both mental and physical, had reduced me to a mere shell of my former self. Marcus, the child is already gone. Believe it or not, I wouldn't joke about my child. Hey Emph, it seems you still don't know your mistake. You're forcing me to use the family's own justice. Guards, take her to the Reynolds Estate's submerged dungeon. The surrounding bodyguards swarmed me, clutching my wrists tightly, dragging me by my clothes and hair toward the car trunk. I remembered the only photo of my child in the lab, like a madwoman. I bit a bodyguard's wrist and scrambled toward the laboratory, still trying to run. Give her a lesson. The bodyguards pulled out whips from their waists, chasing after me, whipping my already bruised skin repeatedly. I gasped in pain, clutching the last photo tightly to my chest, kneeling on the ground and begging for mercy. I was wrong. I was wrong. Stop hitting me. I'll go back myself. I'll go back myself. Marcus, Grace really went too far this time. I'll help you take her back. Scarlett scratched my face, twisted my ear, and dragged me toward the car. Grace, you stay inside and reflect properly. With a bang, the iron door closed. There was no longer a shred of light in the submerged dungeon. I curled up in the corner. My entire body's wounds, soaked in sewage, became increasingly infected and festering. The flowing blood attracted insects to gnaw at me, causing me to faint multiple times from the pain, only to be roused by it again. Lost in a daze, I don't know how long passed until the submerged dungeon door suddenly opened. The light stung my eyes, making me uncontrollably shed tears. Scarlett's silhouette appeared in the doorway, her face twisted in a grimace of disgust as she covered her nose, saying sarcastically, Grace, you smell worse than a corpse. So what if I framed you back then? Marcus only believes me. You'll always be an outsider. Marcus told me to bring you some food and then take you to him. You're trash, so eat some trash. Pinching her nose, she pulled a moldy bun from the slop bucket, casually tossed it into the sewage in front of me, and looked down on me. I glared at Scarlett, the hatred filling me, threatening to consume her. Scarlett hated me. If it weren't for me, she would have taken the position of young mistress of the Reynolds family. I was able to marry Marcus only because of the long-standing friendship between our families. Marcus and I were a suitable match in terms of social standing, and out of respect for my grandfather, we married hastily. For children like me, not highly regarded in large families, an arranged marriage was always the outcome. There was nothing I could do to fight it. Even knowing this, I remained dutiful, doing what the young mistress of the Reynolds family should do. Diligent, obedient, and sensible. A few years later, the Reynolds family declined. My grandfather passed away, and my parents, burdened by debt, could barely protect themselves. I was still the young mistress of the Reynolds family, but all around me, I was met with scornful gazes. There was no respect whatsoever. The only value I had left was my reputation as a renowned surgeon, even with outstanding achievements in the medical field. In a prominent family like the Reynolds family, I was still an eyesore, a useless person. Perhaps having heard these tidings, Scarlett, who had married the eldest son of the Reynolds family, returned from abroad. The eldest son never came home, constantly carousing with countless illegitimate children. Scarlett then went to Marcus to complain, using every trick to gain Marcus's trust and staying in my and Marcus's home. As a woman, how could I not see Scarlett's true intentions? But in Marcus's eyes, he only saw me as petty and calculating. With sordid thoughts, I said no more, remaining dutiful, doing what the young mistress of the Reynolds family should do, diligent, obedient, and sensible. In return, Scarlett continuously pushed her luck, framing me and setting me up. I originally had no ambitions, but now, all I wanted was to live. Eat it. Still spaced out? It seems you haven't suffered enough. Scarlett waved her hand. The bodyguards behind her roughly shoved the moldy bun into my mouth, forcing me to swallow it. Then they dragged me to Marcus, throwing me to the ground like trash. Grace, have you thought it over? Will you tell me where the child is, or do you want more punishment? I pulled out the crumpled photo from my embrace, my eyes red-rimmed, and placed it before Marcus. Marcus, this is the only photo of the child. She died after she was born. What more do you want from me? Marcus froze, his eyes wide as he stared at the photo. After a long pause, he scoffed, snatching the photo and casually lighting it with his cigarette butt before tossing it to the ground. Grace, use your brain, will you? You say the child died just based on a photo? Only a fool would believe that. Do I have to expose your lies before you give up? Marcus impatiently turned to the bodyguards beside him and said, Go, find the child. I was utterly desperate, tears silently streaming down. I shook my head, looking at his familiar face, my heart pierced by 1,000 needles. Marcus, let's divorce. Marcus's smoking motion paused. His eyes were fixed on me, full of disbelief. Grace, do you know what you're saying? I forced a bitter smile and met his gaze. I'll grant you your wish. Let's get a divorce. Marcus glanced at Scarlett, whose face was radiant with barely suppressed excitement. He gripped my jaw, his eyes filled with complex emotions. What nonsense are you talking about? There's nothing between Scarlett and me. I'm just looking after her for my brother. Even if you die, you'll be a Reynolds family member. Don't even think about divorce. I stubbornly turned my head away, knowing why Marcus wouldn't let me go. Perhaps after so many years together, he had developed familial feelings. His parents rarely bothered with him, and I managed everything in the household. Gradually, Marcus's life began to rely on me. I became an indispensable part of his life. This feeling was like a cherished toy that had lost its novelty, but if it were damaged or lost, he couldn't help but feel a pang of reluctance. Even in a loveless marriage, he wouldn't let me go. Seeing that I remained silent, Marcus nodded as if suddenly understanding, his gaze becoming even more sarcastic and disdainful. I see. You're just afraid I'll actually find the child and want to divorce me quickly so you can flee far away with the child. Grace, I have to say, your mind is truly cunning. I said nothing more, my hands trembling as I picked up the photo, now burned to ashes. I had once thought that even if the marriage wasn't happy, a stable life, the mundane necessities, could still be a simple kind of beauty. But now, I had nothing. I just wanted to escape the Reynolds family and live properly for the sake of my deceased child. And make them pay the price. Marcus, I found the custom-made brooch you gave me. Suddenly, Scarlett, who had been watching the show from the side, exclaimed. She covered her mouth and pointed to the clothing on my chest. Only then did I notice a delicate brooch pinned to my chest, completely out of place with my filthy and disheveled appearance. I then remembered that Scarlett must have pinned it to my clothes earlier, when she had ordered someone to shove the bun into my mouth. Grace, how did this brooch end up with you? If you like it, you can ask Marcus to order another custom one for you. There's no need to secretly take mine. Scarlett's words were clearly implying that I had stolen her brooch, a clumsy trick that anyone with a brain could see through, but believed her. His face instantly darkened, and he stood up, cursing at me. Grace, you're not only full of lies now, you've also become a thief. He roughly pulled the brooch from my chest, letting its sharp edges pierce my skin, leaving bloody marks. I see you're unrepentant. You haven't been taught enough of a lesson. Hang up and give her a taste of what's coming to her. This time, I didn't beg for mercy. It wasn't that I wasn't afraid, but I knew that no matter how much I cried or pleaded, they would remain indifferent. A hemp rope hung me upside down from the ceiling. The muscular bodyguards beat me with all their might. I wailed heart-wrenchingly, my flesh was torn open, and my previously unhealed scars were reopened. It was hellish agony. I desperately screamed, hoping to awaken a shred of pity in Marcus. He just stood by, watching with cold eyes. Not a hint of compassion. Scarlett stood beside him, a triumphant smile on her lips. That smile, like a venomous thorn, deeply pierced my heart. Blood soaked my clothes, and I was in such pain that I nearly passed out. Splash her awake, until she knows her mistake. Marcus frowned tightly, the anger in his eyes not yet faded. A bodyguard walked to a nearby bucket. exchanged a meaningful glance with Ms. Scarlett, and mouthed, "Ms. Scarlett, don't worry, it's alcohol." Aha! Alcohol was splashed all over me, seeping into my raw wounds, stinging every inch of my skin. I screamed and rolled my eyes, then passed out. In a haze, I heard someone burst in, shouting, "Mr. Marcus, we just found out. Grace wasn't lying. Your child died 5 years ago." What? How is that possible? If you and Grace are trying to trick me, I'll lock all of you in the submerged dungeon. Marcus staggered back to steps in disbelief. He looked at the death certificate the assistant handed him and collapsed onto the sofa. Impossible. How can this be? How could my child die? Mr. Marcus, this is what we found at the laboratory site. After DNA comparison, this specimen is indeed your child and Grace's. The assistant brought out the item. The child's remains appeared before his eyes, driving Marcus to near madness. You're all lying to me. Grace made you do this. You just picked up some random thing and said it's my child. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Seeing in this state, the assistant pulled out a USB drive and reluctantly spoke to him. Mr. Marcus, this is the surveillance footage from that laboratory. Your child and Grace's was murdered by those people right after birth. And Grace also suffered inhumane torture in there. Marcus still wouldn't give up. He plugged the USB drive into the computer, watching the screen frame by frame. Grace was submerged in formaldehyde all day. And, back then, Grace never sold Ms. Grace's child. This was all orchestrated by her, framing Grace. Enough! Enough! Stop talking! Marcus was hysterical, frantically covering his ears, a torrent of tears continuously flowing from his eyes. How could this happen? Quick! Quick! Take Grace to the hospital. The voices in my ears grew fainter. I felt constant pain in my internal organs. Even breathing was agonizing, feeling life slowly ebbing away. I felt a sense of release, yet was unwilling to end like this. If you can't save her, I'll flatten this hospital. Marcus's roar echoed. Powerful electric shock stimulated my heart, trying to stir its faint beat. My hands and feet were covered with 4 lines. Cold liquid flowed into my veins, and I couldn't feel a shred of warmth, just like before, when I was submerged in formaldehyde. Like a dead person, Mr. Marcus. We've done our best. Ms. Grace has been injected with hormonal drugs for a long time. Nearly all her organs have failed, and she has developed drug resistance. Our existing medications are no longer effective. It's a miracle that Ms. Grace has held on until now. Mr. Marcus, we are truly sorry. We've done everything we can. Please accept our condolences. The doctor handed the death report to Marcus, shaking his head regretfully. Mr. Marcus, this is Ms. Grace's death report. Please sign it. Marcus's eyes were bloodshot. Tears gushing uncontrollably, he trembled uncontrollably in despair. Useless. You're all useless. How could Grace leave me? This is impossible. This is impossible. Who exactly did those things to her? Call those people from the laboratory here. He pointed at the doctor's nose, shouting in a fit of rage, keep treating her. If you can't cure her, all of you can go to hell. In less than 10 minutes, the trembling laboratory personnel walked into the ward, not daring to lift their heads. Mr. Marcus, what happened? Marcus gritted his teeth, demanding word by word. What did you do to Grace and the child during her years in the lab? The man's gaze was evasive, and he forced a smile. Mr. Marcus, we were just a bit strict with Grace and the child. We didn't do anything too excessive. Lies. Before the man could finish speaking, Marcus kicked him in the chest with all his might. I sent Grace to the lab to do some delicate work and temper her character. Now she's lying on the operating table, unable to wake up, and the child has become a grotesque, mutilated being. All of you kneel. If you don't tell me the full details of what happened today, I'll torment you the same way you tormented Grace. The man's face froze with a thud. He knelt on the ground, banging his head repeatedly. Mr. Marcus, have mercy. I'll tell you. Ms. Scarlett gave me a large sum of money to brutally torture Grace. Marcus's eyes blazed with fury. He turned to look at Scarlett, clenching his fists. Scarlett's face was pale as ash. She desperately shook her head and waved her hands, her eyes darting nervously. Marcus, how can you not believe me? He's framing me. How could I do such a thing? I don't even know him. Scarlett, don't talk nonsense. I have proof. The man grew furious, glaring fiercely at Scarlett. He pulled up a video on his phone. On the screen, Scarlett carried a suitcase full of money, smiling maliciously, and said to the man, "Here's this money for you. Torture fiercely, make her suffer a fate worse than death. And her child, absolutely cannot live. Do this well, and I'll give you another million after it's done. Marcus's eyes were bloodshot, as if about to bleed. He didn't hesitate to raise his hand and slap Scarlett's face. You bitch. So it was all you. You killed Grace and my child. Scarlett was slapped to the ground, tears gushing uncontrollably from her eyes as she cried heartbreakingly, Marcus, I did it all for you. I love you. Grace doesn't deserve you. I knew you didn't love her, so I let myself be the villain. Don't you understand my intentions? Bullshit. Grace is my wife. I can't lose her. We had a child. It should have been a happy family. It's all you. You ruined everything for me. Marcus clutched his head in agony. Hysterical, Marcus. You'll be happy with me too. I can bear you a child. We can have a new family. No one will stand in our way anymore, okay? Let's be together forever. Scarlett looked deranged. She crawled to Marcus, desperately clutching his pant leg, her voice full of hope and pleading. Get lost. Guards, take this crazy woman and lock her in the submerged dungeon. I want her to suffer 1,000 times the pain Grace endured. No. What did I do wrong? Scarlett was dragged away by the bodyguards, her shrill screams gradually fading. Marcus, his eyes full of tears, knelt beside me, tightly clutching my hand, continuously repenting. Grace, I'm sorry. It was all my fault. Please wake up and hit me, curse me. Just don't leave me. I beg you. Grace, wait for me. You must hold on. After I deal with that crazy woman, I'll come to you and make amends. After left, the attending physician moved my bed to the camera blind spot. Grace, it's all right. There's no one else here. Only then did I slowly open my eyes, my breath faint, barely clinging to life. Thank you, Dr. Ethan. Thank you for playing along with this act, allowing me to escape the Reynolds family. Dr. Ethan slowly removed his mask, his eyes filled with tenderness for me. Grace, leave with me. Let's start over and live a good life. Looking into his sincere eyes, I couldn't help but remember when I first met him, at the animal shelter, when I went to visit an injured kitten. I happened to see Ethan bandagging its wound. That day was drizzly, and Ethan's warm smile was like a ray of sunshine, shining into my heart. The first encounter was enchanting. Later, I found several injured stray cats in my backyard. When I took them to the hospital, I met Ethan again. He paused when he saw me, his eyes crinkling in a smile as he looked at me, taking the kitten from my arms and carefully bandagging them. That day, Ethan treated me to a meal. He said, "Those who cherish life, no matter what, deserve the highest respect and gratitude." Gradually, we got to know each other and became close. This fake death was also his idea, conceived after he learned of my experiences, to help me escape. Seeing that I remained silent, Ethan thought I was afraid, unwilling to trust anyone again. His large, gentle hand lightly stroked the top of my head, and warmth flowed from my hair to the deepest part of my heart. Grace, my heart truly aches for you. When I learned of what you endured, I was in so much pain I almost fainted. Please trust me, okay? Give me a chance. I'll be with you to start anew, to help you recover fully. You will definitely get better. Ethan sincerely knelt before me. Every word sincere. Ethan, take me away. My eyes filled with tears, and I spoke, choking back sobs. Ethan took me away from Evergreen, and we went to live abroad. There, they had more advanced medical equipment, and Ethan meticulously cared for me day and night, feeding me and washing my clothes without a single complaint. Under the careful attention of the doctors and Ethan, my wounds slowly healed. I was able to get out of bed and walk slowly, even lift some lighter objects. I was once someone who wielded precision instruments, standing before an operating table, saving countless lives. Now, I struggled to stand at an operating table for long periods. This disparity caused a pang of sorrow in my heart. Ethan seemed to sense my melancholy and voluntarily suggested taking me out for a walk to change my mood. I sat in my wheelchair, comfortably enjoying the spring sunshine. Suddenly, I saw a familiar figure not far away. It was Marcus. I instinctively trembled all over. My throat went dry and hoarse, unable to speak, as if sensing my distress. Ethan was about to ask something when Marcus, not far away, noticed me and ran toward me like a madman. Grace, it's Grace. Stay away, stay away. I screamed hysterically, struggling to get up and escape. But Ethan enveloped my hand. He met my eyes firmly, his voice gentle as he comforted me. Grace, trust me. I won't let you be harmed again. Get out. Marcus ran to me, raising his hand to push Ethan away. Ethan sidestepped. using Marcus's momentum to make him stumble and fall to the ground. Ignoring the pain, he crawled to my feet, tears and snot streaming down his face. "Grace, I knew you wouldn't leave me. This is wonderful, wonderful. Will you come home with me? I know I was wrong, and I won't let you suffer injustice again. Don't worry, all the harm you suffered. I made Scarlett endure it all, and her child. I had someone weight him down and sink him into the sea. Scarlett is now a mere shell of her former self and won't live for much longer." As he spoke, Marcus, afraid I wouldn't believe him, pulled out his phone, opened a surveillance video, and held it before me. Scarlett lay in a weighted cage, her body covered in horrifying wounds. "Scarlett, your current state is exactly what you deserve." Marcus's voice reached Scarlett through the phone. She was terrified, huddling in the corner of the weighted cage, desperately shaking her head and emitting muffled pleas for mercy. "Grace, you've seen it, right? I didn't lie to you. Will you come home with me?" Watching all he had done, I only felt that the man standing before me was a demon. "Marcus, you're a lunatic who toys with human lives." Of course, I hated Scarlett. Everything she did involved my child and nearly ruined my life, but how was Marcus any better? He was nothing more than a scumbag who toyed with human lives using his power, satisfying his selfish desires. I should have seen it long ago. Seeing my disgusted look, Marcus was overcome with grief, desperately clutching my pant leg. "Grace, I can't live without you. As long as you're willing to come home with me, anything you say, anything you ask me to do, I'll do it." "Marcus, all I ask is that you let me go." I felt no ripple of emotion inside, only utter disgust at his appearance. "Marcus, you're about to die. What right do you have to ask Grace to go home with you?" Ethan, standing nearby, stepped on Marcus's hand, which was clutching my pant leg. His eyes were cold, staring at him as if looking at a dead man. "What do you mean? How many illicit accounts did the Reynolds family company keep? How much did you profit from others' suffering just to make money? Do you think this evidence can be easily covered up?" Marcus's eyes widened in disbelief as he stared at Ethan's face, as if remembering something. You're from the Sterling family." Only then did I remember that the Sterling family was as renowned as the Reynolds family, but the Sterling family members kept a low profile, each one a leader in various fields. The family members just don't like to draw attention to themselves. Ruining your Reynolds family overnight is merely a matter of time. I have collected all of the Reynolds family's criminal evidence, and the judicial authorities are currently reviewing it. Marcus, you can't even protect yourself. A scumbag like you should have died long ago." Ethan's eyes blazed with indignation. He firmly took my hand and, as if delivering a final judgment, said to Marcus, "Someone as wonderful as Grace should never have been ruined by a dark and vile person like you. Your belated repentance is worthless." After speaking, Ethan pushed my wheelchair and turned to leave, leaving Marcus slumped helplessly to the ground, alternating between crying and laughing like a madman. From then on, Marcus never appeared in my life again. Just as I was about to forget that painful period, I heard news about him. The family went bankrupt. Those whom Marcus had persecuted came forward one after another to condemn his past actions. He was responsible for dozens of lives, yet due to his family's protection, everyone was powerless against him. Now, everything was clear. Marcus was incarcerated. I heard that on the night before his execution, Marcus cried out hysterically, calling my name, when attempts were made to restrain him. He charged at the prison gate like a madman, smashing his head against the ground, killing himself, blood gushing everywhere. Ultimately, the prison guards found a few words written in blood on the corner of the wall. "Grace, if there's a next life, I'll work myself to the bone." After hearing all this, I felt no ripple of emotion in my heart, only a sense of immense relief. In a haze, I fell into a deep sleep. In my dream, I saw my deceased child. He clapped his hands, nestled into my arms, and murmured in my ear, "Mommy, you must be happy. I'll be back." Not long after, I became pregnant with Ethan's child. He proposed to me at Lavender, the place I most wanted to visit. "Grace, my name, Ethan, is my greatest promise to you." I smiled faintly, looking at the roses before me, and thought, the promise that Ethan made, I believe.